Kintsugi is an Eastern practice of repairing items that have been broken using resin mixed with precious metals. Things such as pots, bowls, dishes. Kintsugi practitioners believe that in any item's journey, damage is going to occur. Doesn't matter what the item is, at some point, damage will occur. Now, they also believe that the damage itself adds to the intrinsic value of the item. The damage gives the item character. It allows that item to have its own way about it, its own story. So, March 17th, 2015, I got out of bed like I normally did every day, getting ready for my career. I went to go take a step, and due to my pre-existing condition that no one knew about, my spine came apart in 3 pieces. I fell down, and I spent the next 8 months being unable to walk. What happened was something called spondylolisthesis. It's an instability of the spine. It pinched off the nerves in my legs, and through the L5 nerve root, caused me severe damage and pain, which I will have the remainder of my days. Now, I don't tell you this because I want any sort of pity. I tell you this because I want you to know that on March 17, 2015, it arguably was the luckiest day of my life. Because if you fast forward till April 2016, I was walking around and I fell down because my legs don't work properly. And I ended up in the emergency room. I actually crashed into a table. I hurt my ribs fairly badly. And they did a scan of my midsection to make sure that my back was okay. And I was diagnosed with renal cell carcinoma, a very aggressive form that they would not have found if I hadn't have broken my spine. Now, oftentimes we forget that good things and bad things are happening all at the same time. So it's very, very important that we understand that as we are going through each day and each thing that is a challenge to us, we want to make sure that every single moment we understand that good and bad are happening at the same time. Now, some of the pieces that we want to go through I live in pain every single day, and it's one of those things that sometimes interrupts, but that's okay. Sorry. Wow. Oftentimes, we look towards things that we perceive as issues. All of us have things that we perceive as issues. We want to make sure that we address each one of these things as comfortable and as powerful as we think. The biggest lies that we tell are often lies that we tell ourselves. The idea that we can't and the idea that we won't be able to do things are complete lies. We are absolutely more powerful than we ever thought possible. I spent 8 months not being able to walk. During that time, I found out that there were plenty of opinions of doctors that thought that I absolutely would not be able to walk on a day-to-day basis. Every time I talked to a doctor, they told me that I would not be able to do things. Unfortunately, that opinion wasn't my opinion. That opinion was something that would have limited me as a person. And the only opinion that truly counts in life is our own. The only opinion in life that truly matters is our own. It's nice that we go to see people that have educated opinions. Doctors have educated opinions. Others have educated opinions. But we want to make sure that the only opinion that we are truly taking to heart and that matters at the end of the day is our own. Why is that so important? It is so important because we are mentally, physically, and emotionally stronger than we ever thought possible. We, as individuals, all have things that we perceive as broken. I am standing here today telling you that every single one of us can overcome our issues. If we are patient with ourselves, we can overcome anything, whether it be a perceived break in ourselves, something that we perceive as a character flaw, something that we have as an issue that we want to change. We can overcome those things with patience and with time. Oftentimes, we forget that we need to be patient with ourselves. We need to listen to ourselves. That our sitcom problem solving, what sitcom problem solving is to me, is this ideology where we can solve problems 30 minutes to an hour in length. We learn that through television, but complex problems in life don't get solved in 30 minutes to an hour. Oftentimes, we have to learn to be super patient with ourselves so we can solve all of the problems that are going on in our life. Now, when I was hurt, when my back came apart, in that moment, my entire life took a left turn. However, like I said, it was one of the luckiest moments of my life. Not only did they find cancer, which arguably was a very low point in my life. You could say that it was rock bottom, but rock bottom is a great place to build a strong foundation. Rock bottom is the type of place where you want to build something that is grand, something that is absolutely wonderful and pristine. We want to ensure that we peel back the layers, even if we are going to build something, that we try to actually find rock bottom, that rock bottom is not a bad place, but it's something that we should actually search for, something that even though we think that it's a bad spot, it isn't necessarily a bad spot, because once again, we have good and bad happening at the same time, and oftentimes our bad spots end up being good spots in the future. Now, I will tell you that I've had a lot of bad things happen to me, but they weren't really that bad, and I'll explain why. Because if you can complain about it, it's really not that bad. Now, when I broke my spine, I didn't know where I was going to go. I didn't know what was going to happen to me. And because of that, I really didn't have words to explain what was going on. When I found out I had cancer, I didn't really have words to explain what was going on. I'd heard people had cancer before, but when I sat in front of the doctor and the doctor told me, "You have cancer, and it's an aggressive form," and although he was being nice to me, he was being honest, and he told me that if I can't fix you, you may have to get your affairs in order. Now, that's a really, really scary place. But it also teaches you certain things like time is the most precious commodity that we will ever have in our life. Time is something that no matter how much money we have, no matter how much we want to change it, we can't change it. So you absolutely have to live in the now. You have to understand that what is going on right now is the most important. that we will all have mistakes, we will all have things that we perceive as broken. However, it's not that bad. Because if we can complain about it, if we can understand what's going on, it's not that bad. We absolutely can just let it go. Now, with kintsugi, we all have perceived breaks. However, I will tell you that each and every one of you is absolutely physically, mentally, and emotionally stronger than you ever thought possible. I had an immense amount of physical therapy. I had 2 surgeries, one of them experimental, that was 10 and a half hours long, where they cut a hole all the way through my body. And I didn't know how I was going to come back from that. I didn't know how I was going to be able to continue. But with the help of other people, because I couldn't do it alone, I was able to succeed. I was able to get into physical therapy. I was able to have people mentor me and push me to my limits. Then, with raw determination, the most underutilized skill in all of the world, I was able to continue that path. Now, when I was injured, I weighed 368 pounds. At my heaviest, because I didn't walk for 8 months, I weighed 406 pounds. Now, obviously, I don't weigh that much now. I have lost 170 pounds, a little bit more than that. And once again, I didn't think that I could do it, but with the help of others, with people pushing me, and with raw determination, I absolutely was able to accomplish things I never thought possible. And I tell you that each one of you in here, absolutely, whether it be something as simple as losing weight, communicating, fixing a friendship, whatever it may be, you absolutely could achieve that. Because the only opinion in life that truly matters is your own. If you want to go climb Mount Everest, I am standing here today telling you that you can. I was able to come back from a broken spine. Educated opinions told me I would not be able to come back, but that's okay. Because doctors told Stephen Hawking, a famous physicist with ALS, that he only had 2 years to live. And he lived into his 70s. It's nice that people have educated opinions about you, but it is not your opinion. If you want to fly, you can learn to fly. You can do anything that you want possible. If you want to lose weight, McHenry County has one of the best weight loss programs in the entire nation. It's amazing how many great doctors we have in this area. If you are patient with yourself, you can piece together anything you want. Now, I told you that the biggest lies we tell are the ones that we tell ourselves. The ideology of I can't, or I won't, or excuses limit us every single day. I told you that time is the most precious commodity that we have. But I will also tell you that it's the yesterdays and the tomorrows that truly hinder us. Because if we live in the moment, we don't have to worry about the yesterdays, the fact that something happened in our past. But we are powerful in this moment. And I can't affect the future right now. I can only prepare for it. So, I don't have to worry about the future. The past is the past, the future is the future, and the present is exactly that. The present. It is a present. Every single one of us is living on borrowed time. I know I am because I got cancer. I know that I had a moment where every day I get to wake up and it's like birthday and Christmas all at the same time for me. I am truly, truly happy to be alive. But each one of us has that same thing, because ultimately we don't know when bad things are going to happen. They happen in moments, and when those moments end, we want to make sure that we recognize that moment, and when it's done, we move on. We need to make sure that when that moment is finished, we don't dwell on things we perceive as bad, because potentially they could be good, just like when I broke my spine, because I'm standing here telling you that I would not be here if I hadn't have broken my spine. It's one of the luckiest moments of my life. Now, if you will all bear with me for one moment, and if I could get everybody in here to stand up for one moment. The hardest thing I ever had to do in my life was stand back up. Absolutely, unequivocally, stand back up. And all too often, we forget to give ourselves. Each one of you forgets to give yourself credit for the fact that you have come through so much in life. Now, maybe it wasn't a broken spine, but every single one of you is powerful in your own way. Every single one of you at some point or another has stood up. And for that, I would like to end the evening by all of you giving yourselves a round of applause for being as powerful as you are. Because every single one of you is great in your own way, shape, or form. Every single one of you has pieced back together, just like kintsugi, parts of yourself to become wonderful and powerful in your own way. So I thank you all for coming out this evening. And you all have an absolutely blessed evening. Thank you very much.